Yeah. Walk, walk. Yeah. I come and never sleep on me. I some change so you know I go get it. What you looking at? Fool, no I noon. Hoodie 멍청했고 find your comfort from another year. I go low like undercover, yeah. Wanna know my name? 죽지 않은 일은 위에 부어버려 기름.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Jonathan Lynham, also known as For Your Eyes Only. I'm joined by my good buddies Colton, also known as the Living Daylights Flat. He's up in the house. Colton, say hello to everyone.
Hey, everybody.
And also, I got my boy Caleb Mabry. We haven't assigned a movie name to him yet. Caleb, say hello to everyone.
Yeah, I'm undecided as of right now. But hello, everyone.
And we're here to talk about the fifth Bond movie, You Only Live Twice. You know, everyone wants to say you only live once or YOLO or whatever, but I'm all about living twice. You know what I mean? So,
I agree.
Colton Flat, I'm gonna start with you. So, Mr. Living Daylights, how did you feel about? Just give me some your broad feelings about this movie we're about to spend a little bit of time on.
So, not to give everything away, but for the most part, I really enjoyed most of this movie. Like, it's definitely one of my favorite Connery films. Not the favorite, but a favorite. And it might have something to do with the fact that I've seen it before, but it got so much better on a rewatch, even though there's a few things here and there. But I was noticing that when the film starts and they're in outer space, I'm like, this looks really good to be 1967. Like, this is one of those videos that's like, man, they could have faked the moon landing for sure in 1967. But, like, also, I'm not giving credence to that. I'm just saying, like, I'm putting it out there. I don't know. It looks really good, like, for most of the movie. Like, there's some stuff that's pretty rough at points, but I enjoyed this film for what it was. Like, I think it's pretty good.
Mr. Mabry, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with Colton on that. It's just the movie as a whole is really good. I think it is, like you said, the true sequel to Goldfinger.
Agreed.
It does so many things better than Thunderball. That's not to say Thunderball doesn't have its place. It does, but I had a much better time watching this. It's like it takes all the elements that we've been introduced to so far, Dr. No for Much with Love and Goldfinger, and takes all those things and dials them to 10 and packages it in this was it hour and 40 minutes?
Something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to add to what you guys are saying, always been a big fan of this movie for reasons I'm gonna get on to later. But yeah, I had a great time watching this the other night. I like Thunderball, don't get me wrong. I know we all talked about Thunderball last episode, but I feel like Thunderball was supposed to be like Goldfinger 2.0, but I feel like You Only Live Twice is literally Goldfinger 2.0. Like everything is amped up. I mean, I don't know, just it feels like they're firing on, just full throttle throughout the movie. And I really like that. I really dig this movie. So just right off, I wanted to read something that I saw on the internet according to Wikipedia, this movie had a budget of $9.5 million. And
Wow.
at the box office, according to Wikipedia, it took in $111.6 million. So
That's quite the return.
That is a good payday.
They made like what 10 times what they put into this movie. Like,
Oh yeah.
And I will say this, just I mean, looking at some of the sets in this movie, you can see where some of that money went. Like, I mean, the volcano lair was literally the price that the whole movie of Dr. No was.
I was just fixing to share that little tidbit. That alone is insane.
Like, just the volcano lair alone was Dr. No's budget. Like, that's pretty wild.
It looks really good too, considering like the whole time I was like, how'd they do this volcano lair? But like the more I watched it, I was like, this looks practical, which is ridiculous. Like it's great.
And something else I want to talk about with this movie is just how influential it is because all like every James Bond parody movie, be it Austin Powers or Johnny English, they're going to take something, especially from this movie. I mean, Austin Powers most definitely like Doctor Evil. I mean, this is where Doctor Evil came from, right here. Like
The first episode I was on the Goldfinger episode, I said I can see where a lot of the parodies get their ideas from. That couldn't have been more true here.
yes.
I guess I forgot, but yeah, this has got pretty much all the Austin Powers stuff in it.
It's the monorail for me.
Well, it's funny you bringing that up, Colton, because this movie and The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker are sometimes referred to in the fandom as the monorail trilogy because they all have a similar plot and they all have like
Oh yeah, that's
villains
really
that have monorails and they're all, I mean, honest to God, if you really watch the movies, this Spy and Moonraker have a similar plot and they're all directed by the same dude, Lewis Gilbert, right, Caleb? I'm getting that
yes,
right.
yeah, it's
Okay.
Lewis Gilbert.
I was gonna say because if I got that wrong, we were about to like edit that out and like
Speaking of similar plots, so I did a little digging last night after I watched it, and are you aware that they brought on Roald Dahl,
yeah,
who wrote was it Charlie and the Chocolate
all in
Factory?
the Chocolate Factory,
And
Chocolate
Matilda.
Factory.
So they brought that writer on to kind of spruce up the script, I guess, and they were like, well, there's not really enough here to write a screenplay out of, so they took the basic story structure of Doctor No and
Dialed it up.
but yeah, basically this aside from a few elements, this is basically Doctor No with a huge budget.
Yeah, I
Also,
was just to add to what you were saying, Caleb, about the Roald Dahl connection. I read something he was like in his own words. He said he like hated the book "You Only Live Twice,"
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, I think
and
I knew. Yeah, I knew there was a reason he basically just did
yeah.
away with the book.
And to add to that, like "You Only Live Twice" is really the first Bond movie that went extremely different from the book. I mean, of course, some of them, as we've talked about in the the previous episodes, they've went a little bit astray, but "You Only Live Twice" is really the one that went big time.
Was there a monorail in the book?
No, not at all.
Hey, man.
There was no volcano lair in the book.
If that's all,
he improved.
yeah, I was going to say if that's the one creative liberty that you take, gotta have
Well,
a monorail.
There was quite a bit of creative liberties taken, but Bond turning Japanese was actually in the book, so that was
Yeah.
that was not a invention of the movies. But anyway, let's get started. All right. So one thing I don't know if you guys picked up on, but the gun barrel sequence of this movie, like instead of the normal kind of electric guitar we get with most of the Connery movies, it's done with a Japanese instrument called a koto, which is like a zither. It's a stringed instrument, but it just kind of gives this movie a little bit of Eastern flavor, letting us know from the beginning we're about to be kind of going into the Orient a little bit. Japan,
just like James Bond.
Yeah. So
in the movie.
No. In the Oriental Women.
Oh,
Colton. What am I going to do with you, man?
I'm so sorry.
So anyway, the the pre-title sequence, guys. So I don't know if you guys have picked up on this, but a few of the first Bond movies, specifically, Thunderball and From Russia with Love, really have this thing where they try to make you think Bond dies in the first part of the movie.
yeah, I noticed that, and I guess I hadn't really given it much thought until this movie. I was like, this is like the third time in a row they've tried to convince us that Bond is dead in about the first few minutes of the movie. Who back then was going to the movie theater and was really surprised by that. Oh no, he's already dead. How's the movie gonna happen? Like,
Yeah, like
I don't know why they felt the need to do that.
like they just kept on doing it, but I think this is like the last time they do it for at least a while. You know, like
Maybe they're like, man, they're not falling for this. Like,
yeah, we might
let's
as well
just
stop.
quit.
But so this title sequence, we get the Chinese girl. I think her name is Ling. I believe what it is. I believe her name is. Sorry, I worded that wrong. But I believe her name's Ling.
I can tell you. You keep going.
What do y'all think about the title sequence of Bond getting shot? I guess evidently
I think
shot
it's
with
great.
You like it?
Yeah, like the fact that like okay, you got Bond like opening the film after the space shuttle stuff. Like you got Bond sleeping with a woman, which as he does. Then like she turns on him as they do, and then they shoot him, and then you get to see him in a fold up. Like I know it's not called a fold up bed; it's called something else. But I really like that you got to see those old timey beds. They're cool. I've always liked that, and also the sequence literally sets up the rest of the film because like he's dead, so he's living for the second time, and not only that, like you also they use this as a way to set up the submarine sequence and everything with it. Like this is one of the things that I enjoy the most about the film is like if you don't know a lot about Bond, you might not know about the naval aspect of things, which it's really really good, especially when we get to the M scene and everything with that. So I like it. I think it builds really well.
I always
And
like when we get to see Bond in his uniform.
yeah, I was
For
most
some
definitely.
reason,
agree.
I really think that's cool. We never got to see Craig don the naval uniform, did we?
Not at all.
By the way, that girl's name, right here, Chinese girl.
Okay then.
That is what IMDb has her credited
That's what
as.
she was credited as. Well, that's something else. So just Colton, you were talking about the space shuttle part. So what do you think about that, guys? Both of y'all with the United States shooting a rocket up and then Spectre.
Yeah, intercepts it and
Yeah,
just gobbles it right up.
Pulls a
yeah.
Pac-Man.
My wife and I were watching the movie the other night, and she kept on saying, because the man is outside the space shuttle and he's just chilling there, even when the Spectre craft is opened up and eating it up. Like, how much trouble would it been for him to just like get back inside the capsule or whatever he was in?
He's probably in
Uh,
shock.
yeah, and it's funny that you say that he was in shock because for some reason I was trying to picture myself inside the shuttle that gets eaten essentially. It's like, dude, that would be so terrifying. Like
Yes.
for that thing to come out of nowhere because you're in space and you're seemingly the only person in
Yeah.
this part of space, and then all at once you just get swallowed.
Not only that, you have whenever it closes, it cuts his oxygen too, right? Like
It cuts his tether off, the thing that was keeping him to the
okay, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know much about it. So his
I
tether
don't
his
but
tether doesn't have oxygen connected to it.
I don't think so. I
Okay,
think all of his oxygen was on his
okay.
I
I don't know
like
much
I
about
guess it's-
spacesuits, so
You're
that makes a lot of sense.
probably right, Jonathan. But I got the same thing from that, Colton. For some reason, I imagined his oxygen feed being in the tether. But
well, hey,
you're probably
maybe I'm the
no.
one wrong, guys. I
That
don't,
makes more sense.
Well, no, I mean it would. Yeah, it would make more sense the way you put it, John. So I was just probably thinking of it as like 90s TV stuff. Like that's how I would like
I got you.
my brain would work on that. Sorry.
You're the teacher, so whatever you say, I'm just gonna take
All
for
right.
as fact. So
So jumping ahead a little bit, we go to the title sequence. So let me ask you this: What do y'all think about the title sequence? I want to hear your thoughts on the song. I will go ahead and tell you, I love this song. Always have. My wife did not love this song, which I did not. I didn't understand why, but she was not a fan. She said she almost fell asleep during the title sequence. So I wanted to see what you guys thought.
I don't dislike the song, but I prefer Colton's version.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
Phil.
No, it's a good, I wouldn't really describe it as a banger, but it's a good Bond song.
If you fellas ever watched the TV show Mad Men,
No.
this song is in that TV show at a certain point. So
That's cool.
yeah,
In what context? Like, is it just playing in the background, or?
yeah, it's playing. I mean, the TV show is set during the 1960s. So,
Okay.
but yeah, Nancy Sinatra, of course, the daughter of Frank Sinatra. She does. It's always been one of my favorites, honestly, and I just couldn't believe my sweet wife was not a fan of it. But I still
It
love
broke your
her.
heart, didn't it?
Maybe a little bit, but I'm recovering.
It probably broke my
Uh,
heart too, because I really do. I really do enjoy this song, and it could be just because I've already seen this film once, but it is one of the Bond songs I enjoy more. I guess if that makes any sense. So I like it.
I feel like I'm kind of middle of the road on it. I
Yeah.
certainly don't hate it at all, but I don't know.
There's better ones to come for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean I agree. There's better ones before,
Oh yeah.
but there's definitely better ones to come. So starting the movie off, like after the pre-title sequence, we get I mean after the not the pre-title sequence, the title sequence, we see Russia and well, not Russia, the Soviet Union as it was then, and the United States, and they're kind of bickering because the United States thinks that Russia stole their space shuttle. And, okay, so I'm going to go off on a little bit here. I think it's so funny that the UK is there present at this because the United Kingdom does not have a space program at all.
They're
I
like
wasn't aware of that.
they're like the neighborhood kid that your mom was like, "Hey, let him play."
And it was almost like they were the ones there that was supposed to be like it almost seemed like they were the head of this. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I don't know. I didn't really give that much thought, but I do remember thinking that seemed a little forced.
yeah, like in real, I mean, honest to God, in real life, 1967, man, nobody would have cared at all what the British had to say about this. It would have just been about the Americans and the Soviets. That would have been it. Like,
Hmm.
but but I do like it when the Russian guy says the world knows we're a peace loving people. Like, bro, what? like, but
Context clues.
so anyway, any thoughts about that, guys, or am I the only one that had anything to say about that part?
Well, it's not. I don't know. I did feel it was forced. There is one thing I want to say though. I can't remember if this is the same part or not. If not, you can correct me. But there's a guy that's on the comms, and he's saying, "Houston, we have a problem," or something like that. Was that a British actor? Because I've never heard an American pronounce Houston, Houston.
Houston, yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know that. You know what? You need to look that up. Either, I mean, you can look it up right now if you want to, or after this, because I'd like to know that.
yeah.
I
Because
wondered the same thing
Well, they also
before.
kept saying Cape Con. And so it was they were talking to Cape Canaveral, right?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
Yeah.
We're just gonna act like I didn't bring that up.
One thing I want to bring up. So we see Bond being, laid to rest. He's on the battleship, and they're going to throw well, send his body off the battleship to eternal rest in the sea.
Yes.
Who is the guy looking through the binoculars?
I don't know.
I was wondering the same thing.
Like they never bring that up again. I mean, and if anybody listening to this podcast knows who that guy is supposed to be, please let me know because I mean I've watched this movie dozens of times throughout my life. I have no idea who that guy is. Like,
I just assumed it was somebody working for him to
I
let him
always assumed it
to
was
send the
somebody working
divers.
for a Blofeld, is who I thought.
That would also make sense too.
But I have no idea. Like, because you never see anybody like that later on in the movie. It's just dude.
It's just a
Like,
random. Maybe it's just a random cameo.
maybe so.
Maybe
It was
when
Felix Leiter.
that
He was paying his respects. Head canon.
that's not a bad theory.
So, what Colton? What do you think about the whole Bond? Going to the bottom of the sea and the divers coming picking him up and taking him to the sub. What do you think about that, man?
Hot take. They do it 1,000 times better than Thunderball. And
That's
this
not
is
a hot.
all. This
That's
is
not a hot
all.
take at all. I think
Well, no.
that's
Yeah, I don't think it's
universally
a hot
agreed
take at all.
upon.
Well, I mean, this whole sequence was more tastefully done than any of the stuff in Thunderball underwater wise, and
Yes, I
they
agree.
didn't dwell on it like
Didn't
they
dwell
did,
on it at all.
and then they moved on to the
Uh,
submarine, which is great.
yeah, I'm gonna have to be honest with you. A lot of the stuff you saw in Thunderball about underwater stuff, and honestly, I don't think we even went over this as much as we should have in that last Thunderball episode. But all that underwater stuff, that was really Kevin McClory, the guy that owned the rights to Thunderball. He was
We
big about underwater stuff.
Yeah, we touched on
Um,
that.
yeah,
Of course, that could be its own episode,
yeah, that
probably.
could be
But
its own series.
That
yeah,
could be a series that I
Yeah.
don't want any part of.
and just to
Yeah.
match the pacing of the underwater scenes, we'll play it all in slow motion
And then
while we're
overlay the
talking.
Bond theme,
The 007 theme on loop.
the 007 theme. My bad.
Yes,
Only the 007 thing.
right, on loop.
Only the really bad part of it.
And it's like just turned all the way up. You can't even hear us talking.
So I have to say, whenever Bond gets brought on board the sub, they cut him open. The first thing he says, "Permission to come aboard, sir." I love that. Love that line.
It's so
Mhm.
good.
My wife liked that line. It got a unanimous praise in the house.
Real quick, okay, and this kind of takes into like the movie as a whole. Like, why did they think it was necessary to fake Bond's death? I'm not
Oh,
picking. I genuinely want to know.
okay, so let me tell you why I think that they did it.
I'm all ears.
So the reason, and this is gonna, I mean, obviously anybody listening to this podcast, they've seen this movie before, so it's not gonna spoil anything. But if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert. Caleb, the reason I think they did this whole sequence is just so later in the movie, whenever Bond meets Blofeld, Blofeld's like, they told me you were assassinated in Hong Kong. And Bond's like, yes, this is my second life. And then Blofeld's like, you only live twice, Mr. Bond. I think the whole reason for this first part is just so they can do the name drop.
I will say, this name drop is one of my absolute favorites. So far.
I was about to say that justifies it for me. Yeah.
And I didn't even think about this until last night. I was watching it with my wife, and I was like, man, like I even told her, I said, this whole first sequence is just so they could say the name of the movie.
Mhm.
And and guys, I don't know if you guys have read the book "You Only Live Twice,"
Not yet.
but Blofeld does not say that to Bond in the book. In the book, the name the phrase "You Only Live Twice," it comes from Bond writing his own haiku, and the haiku was, "You only live twice, once when you're born, and once when you look death in the face." And
I
so
don't like
that's
I don't like that. Bond shouldn't be writing poems.
well, it's funny you say that because in the book, Tiger Tanaka's like, "That's a very good try, but you actually didn't do it right." So,
Oh,
That was terrible, James.
but
F.
anyway, but if you guys haven't read that book, I would suggest it. It's one of the latter Fleming novels. It comes right after on Her Majesty's Secret Service in the book.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I think, yeah. So the books are it goes on Her Majesty's Secret Service then, and you only live twice, and I guess that's why there's that continuity error in there.
Yeah, like you really cannot base your knowledge on the books. Like if you go into the books, be ready to not know anything. If you're like me and you have been watching the movies all of our life, then if you go to the books, just be ready to begin again because the movies are nothing like the books at all.
Man, let me
For the
just say
most part.
something about Owner Majesty's Secret Service real quick. And I get that they were trying to stay like 100% true to the material. I love that.
I will say, Caleb, I'm actually reading on Her Majesty's Secret Service right now.
I'm not going to spoil
Really?
anything.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything. But with that being said, man, one line of dialogue is all they had to do, like either include one line or omit one line.
Yeah.
And it would have made sense. Like maybe it shouldn't bother me that bad, but it just seems like such an easy thing to remedy, and they didn't. I don't know.
Yeah. I agree, Caleb. Continuity in the Bond films used to. I don't know if I'd say it bothered me, but it used to be like something I would think about. But then one day I was just like, you know what? They didn't care, so why should I? You know what I mean? Like,
honestly, that's really the only piece of continuity in the pre-Craig series that always bothered me for some reason. I don't know why.
that is really the one piece that really stood out. Like, just a stark, like, wow, they did that. Right after. Just think like, okay, so this movie, Bond meets Blofeld. Then you're going to do it. The next movie, you're going to have him meet Blofeld again. Like,
yeah,
it was just like what 2 years off. Like,
and at some point I was like, they could have just hinted at some point during On Her Majesty's Secret Service that was a prequel. Well, that wouldn't work either because he seems like he meets him for the first time in this movie too. So I don't know.
So yeah, like Caleb, I totally understand. Like,
yeah, I didn't mean to spend so much time on that.
No,
but.
oh, you're good. Trust me, you're good. I understand. I had thought about the same thing so many times. Like especially before I started like really, really like nerding out over this stuff. Like even whenever I was a kid, I remember thinking I was like, why? Like what was going on with those two movies? Why? You know what I mean? But
well, like when you watch it, like you're like, why doesn't Blofeld recognize this guy? I know he's pretending to be somebody else, but it's supposed to be James Bond.
So, all right, let me tell you guys my very contrived way of dealing with this. Okay.
Oh man, this should be good.
So my way of dealing with that is I always thought I was like, well, Majesties came out in 1969, so pretending that the film world is the same year as the real life, 69, that would have been 2 years from You Only Live Twice. Maybe Blofeld didn't really know Bond, but then again, that doesn't hold up because in 1963 and From Russia with Love, they got damn masks of James Bond. They got his face as a mask.
Yeah.
So nothing makes sense, and you might as well just move on.
I think that right there, that the last part of your rant, was enough to just like throw the Rubik's Cube up against the wall and say, "The hell with it."
Yep. I'm sorry, guys. I hate to be that guy, but that's
no. I actually meant that as like a good thing.
Well, I'm glad I could help.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, like just my easiest way to help y'all with understanding continuity. I never can say that word right. Continuity in the early Bond movies is don't even try to understand it. It just go with the flow.
But, right, because if you dwell too much on it, then when you get the golden eye, you're gonna be like, he shouldn't be what 40
years old. Yeah,
he should be like 60. 70, yeah. 70. So,
but it just lends credence to that fantastical universe you were talking about. Stuff.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were about to bring up the code name theory. I was about to leave this call.
Yep.
I don't know what the code name theory is.
Okay.
You know what? We should have whenever we get done with all these movies, we should have an episode on the codename theory and why it doesn't work.
Okay.
Caleb, like, because I could speak on that indefinitely. You have no idea how many times people have asked me, like, well, what if Bond, I mean, including my mother, has brought this up? What if Bond's a code name? Don't get me started right now on that rant because I'll turn this whole thing into that. Like,
What makes me mad is, and I'm not saying your mother had
yeah,
these intentions, but most of the time when people bring that up, they think they're so smart. Well, and I'm like,
yeah,
nah, it just pisses me off.
yes.
Sorry. A lot of things piss me off right now for some reason. The continuity, the code name theory.
You're just on edge today, Caleb.
Yeah, I
Just
guess
on
so.
edge, brother. So anyway, we go to we're on the submarine now, and I really love how M has an office everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bond's in his uniform, which I really like to see. It's the first time we see that. And I love when we get a bit of the old Commander Bond. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Very nice touch.
Yeah. We will see that periodically. We'll see Bond in his naval uniform. I really, really like it. I hope that gets brought up into maybe Bond 26, Bond 27. Who knows? You know.
Fingers
Um,
crossed.
so they tell us that this is the big one. So pretty much, guys, up to this point, this is by far, and I'm talking about in universe. This is by far the biggest stakes we've got. This could literally be World War III. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
You
Like,
get the sense of that in the film too.
yeah. So,
They do that well, I think. They telegraph that well.
and I like how everyone besides the British government is expecting it to be the Russians. Even Bond says to him, he says, "Well, if it's not the Russians, who is it?" Even Bond's thinking it's the Russians.
You know, the
And
Russians are probably like, is this us? Are we doing this? It's probably the Russians, guys.
you see the Russians over there, like, this is the one time it's not us. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
we're actually not the bad guys here.
It's like, usually this is us. What do we do?
So there's a lot of talk about it being, all points lead to Japan. So Bond gets his code word or code phrase, I should say. I love you, as he says later on in the movie, which is one of my favorite things to say to my wife, the way Connery says it later on, and we'll bring that up in a little bit. But he talks to Moneypenny and she tries to throw him the little instant Japanese book, and he throws it back and says, you forgot that I took a first in Oriental languages at Cambridge. It's like just being a smart ass, just gotta love that, like.
That he delivers the smart ass lines really well here because Sean, I'm sure y'all know, was basically on his way out
Yes,
at
he
this
was
point.
done with this shit at this point.
Yeah,
Seems
and
fed up.
you can tell it. I was the way I put it to myself, I guess in my head was this is Sean Connery's impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator. Some of not that necessarily, but
I'm
like
kidding.
okay, the his delivery of some of his lines are so wooden,
Yeah,
and
you can tell Connery does not care about some of these lines, man. But with all that, and I mean, I've heard a lot of people voice their displeasure with that. I don't know, Caleb. Like, it never bothered me like it does some people. I still have a lot of fun with this movie. Right.
no, it didn't really take any enjoyment away from me, but it is something that stuck out,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I do agree. I mean, I see it. I agree with
yeah,
you.
and
Like,
I guess as a kid, well, I didn't know the whole behind the scenes drama, so knowing what I know now, and then watching it and hearing his wooden delivery, it stuck out more.
I think I'm not trying to give Connery too much credit, but I think that his not caring attitude is why we get such good jokes later in the film. Because it
Could
seems
be
like they would be improved more than written.
like his, yeah, maybe that the dry delivery sounds more natural.
okay,
Yeah.
I like that. All right.
Well, what I was thinking is like he's in the moment and he's just saying just messed up shit. Like,
Oh yeah,
bad scene.
So you're saying like it very well could be improv, like
Yeah, like I
yeah,
like
could be, yeah,
at
sure,
some points I think he's just saying like crazy stuff. Like I mean, it might
yeah.
not be. More than likely it's scripted, but like
No,
some of the
I buy
stuff
that.
it gives it like I guess a better feel for me if that's true. Just like Bond's like this, or Sean Connery's like he's like this is my last movie. He's like, say the line, Jane, or say the line, Sean. He's like he says whatever the hell he wants to. So
Yeah.
I
Okay,
do have
so go
I
ahead.
have
I'm
something
sorry,
to
man.
bring up about the submarine scene, if that's okay.
Bring it up, baby.
So whenever he lights the match to set the paper on fire, I'm like, that you would think that would be a problem in a sub, but I was like, because it's pressurized and
Yeah.
it's full of oxygen. Actually, not even not a problem. It's barely even barely even an inconvenience. Like
Are you a Ryan George fan?
I am a Ryan George fan.
My mama loves Ryan George, man.
He's
Anyway,
so great.
sorry, go back to what you were saying, bud.
What I was gonna say is that actually you could legally smoke on a submarine up until 2010.
Are
Really?
you serious?
Yeah. So like they
That
didn't
seems
ban.
like a major oversight.
Well, like
I was
apparently they
thinking
have
too.
scrubbers in the filters that like
Yeah, but
get.
why would you put that stress on your air
I have
filtration?
I have no idea. It's insane. I guess
Yeah,
that's why they quit because like it wasn't
yeah.
enough for all the smoking being done.
That's interesting though. It really
Well,
goes to show you how far we've come.
well, I was just like I thought that was like that would like be a serious problem in a submarine. Apparently not.
Yeah, I
Like
guess not.
it
That's
became something later on, but just like another day for people on a submarine back then, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's really surprising.
So they shoot Bond out of the torpedo tube, and he just kind of like just comes up on the beach in Tokyo, and I'll have to be honest with you guys, you only live twice, and you're gonna hear me talk about this movie very favorably throughout this podcast, but I just love how it's like a time capsule for Tokyo. I mean, just all we see about this, we just see so much of Japan in this movie. I love it. I also love how Connery is walking around like 6'3", 180 pounds, and
Towering over everybody. Yeah,
it's just like
Yeah.
he's like a giant. I was
yeah.
telling my wife this last night we were watching. I was like, he's like a giant, and everybody else is small. Like
Mm.
it's, I
That's
mean,
probably how it would be for you. I mean, because what are you like
yeah,
6'2"?
yeah,
Yeah, so you'd be towering over everybody.
yeah.
It's Godzilla.
And some other things that I pointed out the other night, whenever my wife and I were watching it, whenever they go to the sumo fight, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think a lot of people in 1967 probably even knew what a sumo wrestling match was.
No, that's what I was thinking. It's really cool that they included that. So
Yeah,
it's like an aspect of Japanese culture that a lot of people didn't know about. So
yeah.
that being included was pretty cool. I mean, not to a modern viewer, obviously, but
But to somebody back then, I mean, this might be the
yeah,
first time they ever saw that.
yeah, they were probably might have been a little confused, but it's still cool to see.
And
It's also good for setting the cultural scene, like because a lot of times when they're walking down alleyways and stuff in a movie, like it could pretty much be anywhere, but like
Yeah. Mhm.
they constantly remind us through the film, like through certain set pieces and the sumo wrestling scene, that it is Japan. So
yeah,
I think they did a good job using it.
Yeah,
For that.
but and it's not like in your face.
No, it's subtle.
That's
It's
what
subtle.
I like about it. Like you can tell that they're on location, but they're not shoving it in your face.
yeah.
Right.
So whenever they're at the sumo fight, Bond, he's got his code phrase, "I love you,"
Hmm.
and that girl, Aki, as we learn her name is later, she sits down and they're sitting there watching the sumo fight, and I just love the way, just out of nowhere, Connery looks at her and says, "I love you," like just in the most non-committal, not caring at all, like just the way he says it.
You know that was like the 200th take
Yeah.
And the producer's like, just can we?
It's like,
We're
just say it.
wasting so much of our budget on this one scene. Let's just go. Let's move on.
I love that scene. And he says that, and the girl's like, I know a hotel nearby. And like,
I was thinking like if somebody eh, overheard that conversation, they would be thinking that chick's so easy.
yes, like,
Why don't I try this all the time?
Yeah, I'm just
I'm
gonna
gonna tell
start
you,
going around saying I love you.
every time that I've watched this movie with someone who is new to this movie, they think that is like the funniest scene.
It is
I,
really funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
so this next few scenes, there's a few things I want to bring up. Um we see the car, the Toyota, which was like Japan's first sports car, the Toyota 2000 GT. That is right, Colton. That is the
Yeah.
name of it, right?
Yes, it is.
And originally that car was not a convertible. It had a top on it,
Mhm.
but Connery was just too big. He could not fit in the car.
I think
So
that
they had
car
to.
was that car was notorious for that. If you were 5'10" or below, it might have actually been 5'8". You just couldn't drive the car.
Couldn't fit in it.
Yeah.
Like there ain't no way we could have. I mean, any of
Mhm.
us probably could. We're just.
Maybe
I
not
mean,
width
Caleb,
wise,
how tall are
but I
you?
could fit in there roof wise.
I'm
Oh,
I'm
okay.
five I'm 5'10" flat footed. So
Okay.
I'm
yeah,
5'7", so I'm like right underneath the height requirement.
probably wouldn't be
Uh,
comfortable.
Probably not. I will say that I really enjoy the car. It's really pretty and it seems to perform well. I'll say to this film's detriment, not letting Bond drive it, which he probably couldn't have. His legs probably wouldn't have fit under the fucking
His
under the
knees
column.
would have been like up here.
It would have been like driving a Fisher, those little, whatever.
I know what you're talking
Power
about. Yeah,
Wheels
yeah, yeah.
cars. Yeah.
Yep.
It would have been like driving a Power Wheels car or whatever. But like, I think to solidify this car being cooler and being a Bond car, you would have had to have Bond drive it. So it's not as cool for me.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing Bond gets to operate is the
Yeah.
helicopter.
Which is like this movie's chase scene. So
Yes.
they do that really well.
So we get to Mr. Henderson's house, and I don't know. So Colton, I don't know if you've watched Diamonds Are Forever yet.
I
Have
have
you?
not yet.
Okay, so you're going to see the guy who plays Mr. Henderson. You're going to see him later on in Diamonds Are Forever.
Okay.
But we see Mr. Henderson, and Bond whacks his leg to make sure that it's wood because he lost it in World War II, I believe.
Makes sense.
And I like this scene right here because he makes Bond a martini. And I don't know if you even caught this, guys, but he gives it to Bond and he says, "That was stirred, not shaken, right?"
Yeah, I
And,
caught that.
and Bond drinks it and says, "Perfect."
Yeah.
You know, like he liked
Not
it.
perfect. No.
Real quick, I like what he says after he gets hit in the leg. He's like, I think he says something like, "I'm glad
Yeah.
you got the right one."
Yeah, you got the right
I
one.
busted out laughing when he said that for some reason because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, dude, you don't go around hitting people's legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do that.
Just whacking them like.
I- but yeah, I thought that was really funny.
And go ahead,
This-
Colton. I'm sorry.
This scene here, I will say that Mr. Henderson's actor, I am really, really disturbed by his jawline. Like it is to the point of like almost being a caricature of a person almost. Like that does not look like somebody's real jawline. And I know he's a real person, but it is striking.
Have you ever seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Colton?
I have not.
Okay. Well,
That's that Tim Curry movie, right?
yeah, well, he's in this. I mean, he's in that movie. But anyway,
Oh, he is. Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
he's just a
Oh
jump.
wow.
So unfortunately, our boy Mr. Henderson does not last long. He gets a knife through a paper wall.
You would totally hear that.
Yeah, I mean, surely to goodness, if you got stabbed through the back, you might make a noise. Like, I mean, he doesn't at all, does he? He's
No.
just chilling.
He,
like,
yeah, he just
Look like he
fades away.
it was the most ridiculous part
Yes.
of the movie. One of the
Man,
most
that's
endearing
if I lived in Japan, that's where I would draw the line. I'll be like, look, we're gonna have to up the building codes around here.
Yeah.
Solid walls from now on.
These walls are not enough.
Yeah. That. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Wall
was
is not enough.
that was. How did you do that, dude? That was so quick.
Hey, good job with you, Colton. Good
Yes,
job.
great job.
It's because I'm
That
reading the
was-
book and watching the movie at the same time. So
Okay.
I'm
Nice.
sorry.
No,
So-
don't apologize. That was hilarious.
I will bring up, this is divergent from topics because, like, I'm not going all the way back to the subway scene, but in the subway scene, or in the submarine scene, you notice Bond's hair ain't looking great in this movie. And then you notice it again during the sumo wrestling part. And that's something we haven't touched on in any of these films is Sean
Well-
Connery's hairpiece.
Okay, yeah. It's when did he start wearing the hairpiece? Was it from Russia with Love or?
They said
Yeah,
he
I
started
wanna-
balding at 21.
Oh, okay. So I guess he's been wearing
So,
it ever
the
since
whole
Doctor
time, I
No.
think.
So
Um,
I read somewhere that Dr. No has got his actual hair, but I've heard conflicting accounts on both sides, so I don't know. Like,
I couldn't remember what it was, but I guess we read the same thing because I was thinking it was his natural hair and Doctor No, but yeah, in the previous two films, there's only one or two instances that I can think of where it's obvious, and the rest of the time it's fine, and that could be due to just the film quality.
Which the
But yeah,
film
you're
quality is way better in this film, by the way.
right.
It
Yes,
looks way better.
it improved substantially from Goldfinger to Thunderball, I think.
Yes.
But even in Thunderball, the only thing that stuck out to me was the makeup over his tattoo. Maybe the hair was a little more obvious in that movie, but like you said, it's really obvious here.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when he's swimming and just whenever it's just the way it's sitting on his head. It's like they didn't take as much time with it in certain scenes. And like, I'm not complaining. Like, I'm just, as a bald man, like I tend to look at people's hair and hairlines. So yeah.
You pull off the bald look well.
Well, it's
Yeah.
time to get a haircut. So I got the
Well,
hat on today.
dude, the beard and the bald head. If I grew a decent enough beard, I would definitely try that look. But what was I gonna say? Oh, when they arrived in Japan, Sean Connery was not wearing his hairpiece. You know about this, Jonathan?
I don't.
He
Do
got
tell.
basically.
Oh
he-
yeah, I do. I know
Okay.
what you're talking about.
Basically, he got hounded by the Japanese media like
Mhm.
from the time he arrived to the time he left. I think at some point the producers were basically like, okay, enough is enough, leave him alone.
Yeah.
And that sort of added fuel to the fire that was already, brewing at that point, him being tired of the role and all that. But they gave him a hard time for not having a full head of hair as is portrayed in the movie.
Yeah, I believe they asked something like, "Is this the way James Bond looks?" And Connery said, "No, but it is the way that Sean Connery looks."
Good
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, we get right after they put the knife through our boy Henderson's back. God rest his soul, R.I.P. Bond like does a Daniel Craig and basically like just jumps through the
wall.
wall real quick.
Not
and-
the last time he jumps through a wall in this movie.
Yeah, it does that again, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he tackles the guy with the COVID mask
Oh, COVID.
and
And then gets
kills
COVID.
him really easily.
Bond
Yeah,
gets COVID.
Gets COVID.
Yeah.
Takes the guy's shoes and trench coat. And I want to say this: there
Those
is no
shoes ain't
way
gonna
that
match.
Connery's feet were the same size as that Japanese dude. And I'm
No.
not trying to be
Wait.
like,
Did he take his shoes?
yes.
Why? There was no reason.
They were
he
the
took his
ugliest shoes too.
Well, he's wearing, I think they're called spats, is what they're called. But
Okay.
he took those shoes, put them on so he could like assume the identity of that assassin.
Okay. I guess I didn't really pay a lot of attention to the shoes. I for some reason I was thinking they were just not that distinct, but I guess they were.
And so then he limps down to the car, and this every time I watch it, I've watched this scene for years and thought the same thing. So Bond's in the back, doubled over,
having
and
COVID.
surely, Go ahead. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, pretty much.
having COVID
Yes.
the whole time.
And surely to goodness, guys, like that dude would have been able. I mean, guys, if one of y'all was in my back seat and y'all were like, "Oh," I would know it was you based on the way you were doing. You know what I mean? I
And
mean, like,
also, like the first look, especially with it being Sean Connery, all he would have to do is look back and be like, "Man, your eyebrows just got so thick out of nowhere."
He does
yeah.
have some thick boys up there. Don't he?
Yeah, but
And
yeah, that's kind of a plot convenience, I guess, that they just doesn't pay that close attention.
yeah.
That car probably didn't have an interior light, and it was dark.
But then we see dude even pick Connery up, carry him into an
That's
office.
yeah, that was where I was like, okay.
So
Eating too much sushi.
yes, like it's just like, guys, you surely to goodness you would think, man, this dude's 2 foot taller than what he was whenever he got in the
2 foot
car.
taller, hairier.
It smells like alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes. Smells like he's already drank like 3 bottles of sake just tonight. You know, like I mean,
I love sake,
so
especially room
and that leads
temperature
us
or
to
whatever.
Wait,
So,
you guys know who the big guy was, right? That was driving the car.
he looks really familiar, but I don't know who he is.
That's Dwayne Johnson's grandfather.
it
Really?
is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Man,
Uh-huh.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Caleb. Good job.
I'm glad I remembered it
Yeah.
because I almost didn't.
So that whole fight in the office, like, I mean, I love how Connery picks up that couch and is using the couch as a
I have
Yeah.
lovingly dubbed that couch foo.
couch food.
Dude, let me point something out real quick since you brought that up. Connery uses the most unconventional weapons. Bathtub, steam box, couch. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. He's very resourceful, I guess you could
Yeah.
say.
Have you guys ever watched Honest Trailers on YouTube?
I have.
Okay, well they do one of the Bond series, and they have one part that says it's called fighting like your drunk stepdad, and
I've
it has
seen this.
it has
I've
Connery
s-
with the couch.
Jesus.
I love it. Every time I see that scene, I think of that.
Oh my god, dude, I forgot all about that. That shit is hilarious.
But anyway, Connery knocks the guy out and then drags his body over to the bar. And this every time I see this, I love it. He gets that bottle and he's like, cheers, and he pours some and he drinks it and he says, he looks disgusted and he says, Siamese vodka. Like, I guess Siamese vodka is not good. I don't really understand what was
I
wrong.
thought it was all made from potatoes.
And like another thing I want to bring up is this we see Bond safe cracking like right after that whole fight. He just decides to crack a safe real quick, which is very convenient. So he just pulls out a safe cracker, decides to go ahead and unlock the safe. The minute he unlocks it, sets an alarm off. So he just like grabs whatever he can get out of there, runs out, even kills which I'm assuming an innocent security guard.
As
I
he's
mean,
running out, he
yes.
jumps instead of going through the doorway, which I think the doorway was open. He jumps back through the hole he went in whenever he was going
Yeah.
through the wall. Like it's really, really funny.
Maybe I don't really remember the door that well, but maybe the door was framed for a Japanese man, and Bond already had his Bond size entrance.
We get
So
we get Aki picking him up again,
Yes,
and
conveniently timed.
she
as
decides
well. Conveniently timed.
to yeah,
right.
And she takes him to
Yeah.
just a random place, right? Like just a random like subway entrance. It looks like Bond pulls the door up and runs after her, and then he's sliding down like a chute or something like that.
Yeah. That was,
There's physically no way that she could have ran that fast in those heels. Like his stride length, he would have caught up to her so fast. She was flying in those heels. It's not even possible, especially considering the fact she had to go downstairs. Like,
Yeah.
this is a little thing, but I always like it when I don't think they were really going for like a suspenseful atmosphere with this scene, but when you've got a chase or a fight with no accompanying soundtrack, for some reason that just makes it feel more tense.
Intense, yeah.
Yeah, and
I
it
agree.
makes like with this scene in particular, it gives you sort of like an ominous feeling.
You know what I think could make it even better?
What's that?
If they had the 007 theme in the background while it was happening.
Oh yeah.
Caleb, Colton, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
You're fine, man.
No, that would have ruined it. even I love it, but no.
So Bond goes down this chute and he winds up perfectly in a chair, and we are met by basically this movie's version of Karambe, Tiger Tanaka. So, what is your thoughts about Tiger Tanaka, guys?
I
It's
think
pretty smooth.
I like him. He's a real stand-up guy. Like
I love him.
I really I enjoyed his company.
Yes,
I dig him. I think I enjoy his the things he enjoys in life, the finer things. Like
yeah.
he's got a good outlook on things.
I'm gonna
Especially
be straight with you.
when you're
Like,
in
even
the-
though go. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, no, like he's pretty much the Japanese version of him, correct?
Yeah. Well, what I was about to add to that, Colton, he's like the Japanese version of M, but at the same time, I mean, he's kind of like a Japanese version of Bond too. The way
Very
he's not
true.
an old man. He's kind of like,
Yeah.
you know,
He's probably
he,
recently promoted.
yeah, he's kind of a badass too. You know what I mean? Like he runs a ninja school, and he's all about like just. I mean, you can tell he's a dude that he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's why I like him so much. The fact that he could relate to Bond
Yeah.
so much in that way. But
You see a lot of mutual respect between the two.
right,
of them.
yes, exactly. I enjoyed all of his and Bond's interactions. Like every time he was on screen, like I found myself really liking those scenes.
Agree. In the book, it's actually really cool. The In the book, Tiger Tanaka was originally supposed to be a kamikaze pilot during World War II. But if I remember correctly, I think the war might have ended before he was supposed to be sent out. But
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you, the book is very different than the movie. Like the first part of the book is like Bond and Henderson and Tanaka drinking like all the time, talking shit to each other. Like, I mean, that's what it's like. But in the movie, it's a lot different. But yeah, man. Anyway, back to the movie. Before I got off on that tangent, we see Bond. He gets those papers that he got from Osato's place
Right.
that he cracked the safe, and he gives them to Tanaka, who gets them blown up. And what about the scene when Bond goes to Tanaka's train, and Tanaka says, "I'm sure your Mr. M has something just like this," and Bond says, "M, oh, of course," like
I like that. Like
like like he had to save face for M in front.
yeah, obviously there's a humorous element to it, but I it speaks to Bond and M's relationship
Yeah,
to an extent. I don't know. I liked it.
It was a very good scene. It was funny.
but I do like how Tanaka's like, well, would you like some sake, or would you prefer vodka martini? And Bond's like, no, I like sake. Then he drinks it, and he's like, I especially like it when it's 98.4 degrees Fahrenheit. And just like that smart ass coming back, like
What I don't get is he's British. They use a different scale over there, do they not?
they use Celsius.
Yeah. So I thought that was weird. I
I
brought that
never
up.
thought of that. That's a good point.
That
We
could have done
need
that for
to
the English audience, like the American
sometimes we
audience.
need to look up. Sometimes we need to look up and see when they adopted Celsius. Maybe they had Fahrenheit in '67. Who knows?
It's possible. We definitely got to research that.
So
Hey,
what does Japan use?
Probably Celsius.
That's
I
okay.
think we're about the only one that use Fahrenheit. Think we?
Yeah, we use freedom units.
Yeah, freedom, baby. Hey, it's freedom, baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
during the war, they used them Oppenheimers.
Have y'all seen that movie, by the way?
No, I want to so bad.
Great film. Great
You would
film.
like it. But
1818.
okay, well then, never mind then.
They probably just did it for the American audience.
Oh yeah,
Must
I'm
have.
sure.
So anyway, it gets pulled up like they pull the picture up, and we see a picture of a boat. I think it was called the Ning Po. And what did it say that American tourists had been killed for taking that picture?
Which is nuts.
Yeah, just taking a picture. So we also get Bond having his first civilized bath, which pretty much amounts to several hot Japanese babes bathing him for.
Rubbing them down.
Yep.
Oh, what was it? Don't get soap in my eye. Is that
Yeah.
what he's, yeah.
I'm totally talking about his dick. Like, I love it.
Well, Colton, that just made this PG-13 thing.
I'm sorry.
I'm just messing with
He was talking about his Richard.
you. So we also get word on Spectre. Bond tells Tanaka, "Hey, Spectre's the one that could have resources and power to do all this." And so the next day, Bond's going back to Osato's place, and there he meets Osato, the man, the the Japanese gentleman, and this movie's version of Fiona Volpe, which is called Helga Brand, the redhead girl. So what do y'all think about her?
I absolutely I loved Fiona in the other film. Like, she's probably one of my favorite Bond girls, and I also loved Helga Brandt. Like, I was like, later in the film, I'm really mad. Like I know she's not a real redhead in real life, but she really, really pulls it off. I really
Okay.
like.
You know how you compared Fiona to Xenia Onatop from Thunderball?
Yes.
Okay, I got the same vibes from her. Like, take no bullshit type of attitude.
Yeah.
And
Strong woman,
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And
Badass.
I always like when Bond is up against an equal it happens to be a female.
One way to look at it, Fiona, Helga, and Xenia are all three women that no matter what Bond does, he's not going to win them over.
Right.
No.
I mean, he can seduce them. Well, I mean, really, I don't even know if you would say Bond's seducing them. It's like they're having their way with him.
Yeah.
And they're still going to do what they want. Like, but that we get the whole, what was it? That girl says, Mr. Osato wants people to have a healthy chest or what? Remember that part? Like, it's like, well, what the hell, guys? Like, who did the writing for this? Oh yeah, Roald Dahl.
It was so weird.
And we also see they're really bagging on Bond for smoking here. He says you should give up smoking.
Yeah, they could have just put like a steal with text says don't smoke, kids.
Don't smoke.
Yeah.
So anyway, right whenever Bond's walking out, Osato looks at Helga and says, "Kill him." And every time I watch the movie, I'm like, dude, he could probably hear you saying that. Like,
yeah,
he's right there. Like, at least let him get out of the room.
The walls are paper thin.
Like, literally paper.
We've already, which the film has already established.
Then we get Bond going and checking out the Ningpo again, the ship. We actually go there. Bond and Kissy Suzuki, not Kissy Suzuki, Aki.
Oh.
This is before we get to her. Sorry,
I have something important to say about this scene.
Go ahead.
So whenever they start fighting and the action sequence starts taking place, you get Bond jumping off onto the airbag. So whenever Bond jumps off in the airbags, of course it's Bob Simmons, right? So Bob rolls off the airbag and crouches down, and then you get Sean stand up and walks out around it. Like, super cool transition.
Oh yeah,
that's cutaway or anything.
That is I won't say it's a pretty common technique, but I've seen it applied in a lot of different movies, and I always appreciate that. Well, when you don't have to cut, it doesn't take away from your immersion.
Exactly. Like it. you get to stay in the scene, and plus, like, if you're not looking at it, you'll never know in a million years.
Right.
But because we're looking for it, and we know, like, another one of my favorite movies ever that does this is Batman vs Superman. Batman hops out of the Batmobile wearing the cowl, but it's not Batman. It's his stunt double in the suit. I can't remember his name right now. But then he walks up the stairs, and then the camera pans up to a wall, and behind the wall, Ben Affleck walks out. And he's got the helmet. He's got the cowl off. And he's not wearing eye makeup, so it wasn't him before. Like, it's a really smooth way of doing it.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed
I
it.
never. Well, and I'm not taking anything away from newer films, but when they pulled that off back then, it's a lot cooler to me versus now.
I agree.
Because they didn't have the
Computers.
CGI capabilities, so it's almost like they had to opt for the practical version versus we'll just green screen his face or superimpose his face on here. So yeah. And one more thing, like you said that we kind of look for those things now. That took me off guard for a second. I was like, wait a minute, they didn't cut, and I rewound it, and I was like, oh, they swapped.
Yep.
And yeah,
I'm glad I wasn't the only one that noticed it, because I just love, like, little stuff.
yeah.
Like that,
Well,
so.
like I said,
Did you notice it too, John?
I was so wrapped up in watching the movie, I didn't notice any of this.
Well, see, that's what I was fixing to say. It almost got past me, but like, I guess I'm sort of wired to look for those sort of things in movies.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this just tells you something about the way I see the movie. Like, I mean, it just had me fully engrossed when I was watching it, boys.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
honestly, I don't think I've seen You Only Live Twice this year. This might be my first time watching it this year. And I know I told y'all the other day I usually go through the movies at least once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think maybe I've not watched it this year. So it has been a while, I guess. But I just obviously was not watching it as intently as y'all was. Or intensely. I mean,
I don't think that's the case. I think whereas you're more focused on the story.
Yeah, that is me.
I'm focused on the story as well, but I love filmmaking techniques.
Caleb, I sent you that book, that picture of that book earlier.
Yeah.
If you like to know about the making of the films, man, you need to read that book. It's really good.
This isn't relevant to listeners or viewers, but real quick, where did you get it?
I just got it off Amazon, I believe.
Okay, all right.
So if anybody's wondering, it's Some Kind of Hero. It goes over the.
Do you have it like nearby? I was gonna say, just
go get it.
Yeah, just show it.
Hold up, 1 second.
So we'll also get them to link it down in the description on YouTube.
Yes,
if they want to.
That is a good idea. As a matter of fact, I will go ahead and find the link.
Thank you, Caleb.
Colton, you go ahead and you tell our viewers about tonight's sponsor.
Oh, so tonight our sponsor is Blue Chew.
Blue Chew, if you do want to sponsor, we really don't have a lot of reach right now, but at some point, hit us up.
I don't use Blue Chew, but hey, I'm down for a sponsor. Bring it on, baby.
We can start. We can all just take a Blue Chew before we start this Fit podcast.
I'm finding the link for that book.
Okay.
I'm gonna send it in the chat. That way you'll have it and you can paste it to the description. What is
the name of the book?
Oh, it's called Some Kind of Hero.
Ah, that's right.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, Caleb and Colton. You would both really like this book. It goes over it's kind of like the behind the scenes of the Bond movies.
I just ordered it.
Okay. Wow. I like that. But I think you'll enjoy it, Caleb.
Just ordered some Blue Chew. No,
you didn't, dude. No. You gotta go through a whole consultation. You can't do it that quick.
I'm just kidding, man. See, Blue Chew, it's that easy.
It is.
Yeah, literally, it takes 5 minutes. Use our code.
Hard spies, don't lie.
That's a long code.
Really
all right.
Oh.
Anyway,
I'm sorry, guys.
So we get our boy Bond. I think we were at whenever he gets knocked out, because y'all were talking about whenever he falls off the roof of the shipping yard. he gets knocked out by one of the guys with I think a pipe wrench or something like that. And we then see Bond where a lot of men would have liked to be, at the mercy of Helga Brand.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sign me up.
And she's showing off her collection of knives, which Bond then uses to, this always gets me every time I watch it. Why does he cut her dress?
It makes
Like,
no sense.
somebody's gonna have to sew that dress back. Like, seriously.
He's probably like, ain't no way she's getting dressed now.
Then we see him in a airplane, in which we see that she is not falling for him at all. She used him to get what she wants, and now she's leaving him high and dry, literally, in an airplane.
Literally.
Drops her lipstick tube that blows up. And I do like, and I guess we had to have this scene because of the Oriental aspect of it, but Bond chops the board.
That was a judo chop. Yeah.
It was the
That's a
most
judo
ninja
chop.
thing he does in this film.
No. Just don't forget the shuriken that he throws.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That
Most ninja thing to this point. So when you're saying high and dry, like, he's literally dry. He hasn't had a drink in hours. He's probably jonesing.
I mean,
oh,
honestly,
dude, that's where the power came from. That was a withdraw judo chop. Like, he's like, I gotta get
first class.
I gotta get some alcohol. Bang!
I have to get some sake really soon. But and so we see him control as best as you could do the airplane and get out real quick, and it blows up, of course, right whenever it gets out.
In the middle of a runway.
Kind of convenient he landed on a runway, ain't it?
Slightly.
It's mighty wide of him, ain't it?
Mighty wide of him.
I will
So
say
anyway,
this about that scene real quick. The way that scene is done is pretty good compared to, like, if you go back to Goldfinger, when Tilly gets run off the road, you see a sped up shot of her car going off or over the shoulder, and then it cuts to her stopped. And it's so anticlimactic.
A little jarring.
Yeah. So the fact that it doesn't cut to just like the plane parked
that is something, at least, ain't it?
Yeah, I guess.
You got to give it to him there.
Way smoother editing.
We have progressed a little bit, at least.
That's another thing. The action in this movie looks really good, by comparison. Aside from Bond wielding a couch as a weapon, the pacing of the fights is really good. Obviously, there's some, I think it's overcranking going on, but it's hidden really well. Like, you've got to really look for it to find it. And yeah, I think they really figured out how to do the fight scenes in this one.
I really like Bond wielding the couch.
I do too. I do too, but not in the context.
Such a crazy ass scene.
They reused like one shot of that a couple times. Like,
like
the same shot,
thrusting with it. Like,
yeah,
it's like,
but
Sean's like, I'm only gonna.
I go back to that scene, man. Such.
I don't like it in the context of, if I was fearing for my life, this bad guy was fixing to kill me, my first choice isn't a couch.
Yeah.
But just the image of Bond wielding a couch as a weapon is funny.
It won't fit in his tux for sure.
Will it fit in the trunk of the Aston Martin though?
It definitely won't fit in the trunk of the Aston Martin. Going back to the Helga Brandt cutting his dress off. I'm sorry, Caleb, not to bounce. When he cuts off Helga Brandt's dress, he says, "The things I do for England." Like, I like that line. Like, I was like,
yeah,
he ain't struggling at all, but he's acting like he is. So, kudos for him.
So, we see Bond then, after he gets out of the predicament he's in with the airplane, he's back at Tiger's place, and just being a fan of alcohol and whiskey, I want to bring this up. Bond is drinking, I think it's Suntory whiskey, which is a Japanese whiskey. It's like, I don't even know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but he's out.
No, I'm not familiar, but
so the scene is he's out like in like a garden pretty much, and Tiger says something about basically referring to Helga Brand, and Aki's like, oh, he didn't like that girl at all, and Bond's like, oh, heaven forbid. But as you can see, there's a bottle of whiskey there, and I wanted to bring it up.
No, I remember the scene. I'm just not really cultured enough. Like,
with alcohol.
yeah.
Not an alcoholic like I am.
No, I assume it's better than Jack Daniels because that's the
Honest
only.
to God, I've never had it before. I always wanted to
Oh,
try it
okay.
because of this movie.
Well, since you brought up alcohol, have you ever tried sake?
Sure have. I love sake.
Okay. Well, I guess it really is served at that room temperature. Was he being sarcastic with
No,
that line?
that is one way you can serve it room temperature.
Okay.
I think that a lot of places serve it hot, which that is my preferred way of drinking it is hot.
Really?
I love hot sake.
Well,
Listen, go to I like to go to Thai restaurants and
Uh-huh.
I like eat Thai food. And when you're at the Thai restaurant, they usually have the sake, which you can order heated. Do it. You'd like it. I promise.
Oh yeah, I will definitely do that, and I will video it and I will share it on the show at some point.
Sounds good to me. Hey, you know what? We should all three go with our wives and eat Thai food one day, and we could
Sure.
video it. I think it'd be a hit.
sounds good to me.
We should all three wear GoPros on our
So,
heads.
so they know how we eating. You know what I mean?
Y'all
I'll
better
have
pick
my-
us up, Blue Chew, because I mean we're hollering at GoPro now.
I was fixing
Yeah.
to say I'll have my Blue Chew in my back pocket, GoPro on my head,
GoPro on the head, sake in the mouth.
sock in the mouth.
All right. Anyway, boys, we're gonna go ahead and move on. So the next part that I want to bring up is this part right here. We get, let me see, get the little Nelly. So tell me, boys, what are your thoughts about little Nelly?
I like the machine itself. But the Q and Bond interaction is so refreshing here, coming from Thunderball, because they hated each other there for some reason. I don't know
Yes.
if Q just was jet lagged.
What I think is funny about this Q interaction, he shows up and he's like, I'm in no mood, 007. I've been took halfway across the world for probably no reason or something like that. And then Bond like is straight to business. He's like, all right, like what have y'all done? So I think Q realizes Bond's legit on this one. He wants to, he needs to know about little Nelly, and they build it, and
I like the how it shows the assembly.
Yes, I do too.
Showed you built from the ground up, and I thought it was really cool.
I really like how Tiger's like, what is this? And Bond's like, oh, little Nelly's a girl you'd love. She's small, fast, like, you'd really like her. And then Tiger Tanaka's like, well, it's a toy helicopter. Don't use it. And Bond gets in it,
Mm.
and it's like the most badass thing since the Aston Martin. You know what I mean? Like it's got flamethrowers and rockets and machine guns and mines and
I'll say that like my favorite thing about this entire Q interaction and meeting Little Nelly is whenever he lets them know he needs Little Nelly, he's like, I need Little Nelly and I need you to bring her father too. And then when he gets there and he's like, how's it going, father? Or however he says it to Q.
Yeah.
I really, really like that. Like coming together in the movie. So
yes,
that's probably my favorite part about it.
Yeah. I hadn't really looked at it from that angle, but that is, it's pretty cool.
Also, one thing I meant to bring up earlier, but I also have my Toyota here with us, boys. I mean, I know I should have brought it up earlier in the movie, but there it is for.
I like that. It looks really good.
At this point in the movie, we're past the helicopter coming in and picking up the car, right? Or
We are actually, and we skipped over that.
okay. I don't have a lot to say about it. I just thought it was a really cool scene.
It is.
I just wanted to express my enjoyment.
And that's
good
actually
scene.
my fault. I'm sorry I skipped over that, fellas. I'm glad you
Dude,
brought it up.
I don't think it's your fault. I mean, I've brought up Blue Chew, GoPros.
It's all good, bud.
Well, I'll say about that scene that like it's cool seeing them actually drop a car in the ocean or river or whatever. That car is probably still there. They probably did not retrieve that. So
Was that a Mercedes? Is what that was? I don't know. Was it? Like
I don't
know.
remember.
But that is a cool scene, and I I do love that Sony got some advertisement in this movie.
Yeah.
Did you see the Sony
Yep.
That was really cool.
in that scene?
I love how all of the security camera feeds, or what CCTV feeds, whatever, in this movie, are production quality cameras
Yes.
and being operated by cameramen.
Yeah.
You know, you see what I'm saying? They're using footage that they've shot to, I don't
Yes.
know.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I'll also say that like the security feed on that helicopter, like seeing that dropper, that does not make any sense at all.
At all. And I was really hoping one of you brought that up because I wasn't going to say nothing. But yes, how the hell was there another helicopter video in that helicopter? Like
That
I mean,
that was the point I was trying to make.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. No, well, I just didn't explain it well.
Well, I didn't. I thought you were just talking about like that it was that like it wasn't just blurry and stuff. That's what I thought you meant. So I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine.
Already like this is jumping off the wagon a little bit, but there is like a scene in I don't know if you guys have seen Fast X, the newest Fast and Furious movie.
I have not. No.
Okay, so in Fast X, they're in the Toretto garage next to their house, and Dom looks up at a picture on the wall, and it's a picture of Brian and Dom overlooking the cliffside from Fast and Furious, the fourth one, whenever they're about to go rescue the person in Mexico. They're leaning on their cars, overlooking the hillside. They're the only two people in Mexico.
it's like, who the hell took this picture?
Exactly. Who the hell took the picture?
Maybe
Like-
it's an artist rendering. Maybe.
Dom's like, I remember it like it was yesterday. He was my family.
Family.
All right, back at it. I'm so sorry, guys.
Hey, you good? But so anyway, back to Little Nelly. And I'm glad, Caleb, thanks for bringing up the magnet helicopter. I appreciate that because I did. I went right over that, unfortunately. But the Little Nelly, so Bond's got his helmet with a camera on, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Sean Connery's the only man in the world that could pull that off.
The helmet, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's okay. The jetpack helmet, not so much.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just didn't look that good, but yeah, I'm okay with this one.
Yeah.
So Bond is doing some aerial reconnaissance, and all of a sudden we get a few Spectre boys come in on their helicopters. So we have a little bit of fight where Bond uses literally all of his armaments on it.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna have to be honest with you guys. I was watching this. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
I did, and I understand
agree.
if you guys didn't. But
Oh no,
I loved it.
Yeah, this movie, or this scene, and the final battle scene, which we'll get to,
Yes.
all of the big scale action sequences, I guess, where there's a lot of chaos. It's done so well in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this scene really shows that. It's done really well.
Yeah, like Colton, what do you think about it? You got anything to say about it, my boy?
But no, like, it's cool. Like, it doesn't take me out of it. Like, you know how like the rear projection in the cars and stuff. Like, you can really tell. Like, this whole scene really flowed really well. Like, I bought it. I enjoyed it. Like, it's not as cool as a car chase for me, but like, it is cool as like in an aerial battle aspect of it. It's 30,000 times better than the helicopter scene in From Russia. So
That's what I was trying to say earlier, real quick. The pacing of the action scenes is so good in this movie.
Yeah.
Aside from the quick inserts of the close-ups of Sean with the rear projection, aside from that, like the action scenes are handled really well.
I agree.
Sorry, John.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If I say anything else about this scene, it's just gonna be me gushing about it. I'm just such a fan of it. Like I love it. So let me ask you this: after this scene, what do y'all think about Bond turning Japanese.
Oh God.
Of course, we get the Russian before Bond turns Japanese. We get the Russian liftoff, and of course the Russian spaceship gets jacked by Spectre,
Right.
like the
Yeah.
American did.
Uh-huh.
So they're putting the eyelids on Bond, but then like, and the bad hairpiece, you never see him with the eyelids on. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't even know why they would allude to it if they weren't gonna go through with having him wear it.
Yeah.
But like, this whole turning Japanese thing is also dropped like really quick. Like, whenever he gets
Yeah.
captured by Blofeld, he's not wearing that hairpiece anymore.
Yeah, I know. I like and I think that's really that's a nitpick I've seen a lot of people do whenever they're going over this movie. Is that whole
What?
sequence, like, because, and we're really jumping ahead, but whenever Bond, him and Kissy Suzuki swim, like whenever Bond gets into the Spectre lair, that it's gone. The disguise is gone. He's back to being normal Bond. Like, I don't understand that either. I know we're jumping a little bit, but
Yeah, every once in a while, especially in these older movies, you get a scene where you might not think much of it at the time, but later on you're like, wait a minute, why was that there?
yeah.
Yeah.
So we get Bond doing his. So first thing, before I go into what I was about to say, what about the scene where Aki dies?
Oh yeah. That was it was creative.
Yeah, I have to say, man, I kind of hate seeing this girl die.
Yeah, me too.
She
But
was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, straight up. I would have rather her lived through the movie and been the main Bond girl than the one we get. Not that I hate Kissy Suzuki. I mean, she looks
yeah,
great as she is, but like Aki already had such an awesome presence throughout the movie.
she was developed more. Like it seemed like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hadn't really considered that. I think I would have rather it worked out like that too.
Yeah. Colton, any thoughts?
Uh, I think it was just used to show a cool assassination, really. Like, because Bond didn't even really have any emotional response to it all. He just rolled
Well,
on.
in real life, let me explain to you what happened. Okay.
All right.
So the girl that played Aki was originally supposed to be the main Bond girl. She was supposed to play the part of Kissy Suzuki. But the girl who played Kissy Suzuki in the real movie, um, she could not speak English. So Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, they said, okay, well, you're not going to be Kissy Suzuki. And then she was like, okay, well, if y'all do this, I'm going to kill myself. So they did not want this young girl's blood on their hands.
I
So
did
they
not
still
know
put her in the
this.
movie.
I did not know this. That is super
Yep.
interesting.
That is how
And
she got that part.
yeah.
That's why Aki was made as a character.
Yeah.
I mean, she had a lot of energy, so like she
Yeah.
was fine.
So Bond's getting married to a new girl, and as you see, Sean Connery is he's shaking his head disapprovingly to several young Japanese ladies, and then we get to one that catches his eye, and her name is Kissy Suzuki, and she will be the main Bond girl for this movie. Even though she doesn't do much, but she's there. So, Colton, any words about this?
I think it goes to show Bond's character that he did not want an old wife. He wanted a pretty young one, which makes a lot of sense given his character context clues, I suppose. So it makes a lot of sense. So
I think so too. What about you, Caleb?
I don't really have much to say about it. Colton summed it up pretty well. I mean, that's really the only thing I took away from it.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't want to dwell on this too much because literally it's not much there. I mean, it's not like this is going to affect anything that happens in the movie. But I will say this. I do find it strange that we have this fake wedding right here, and then literally in the next movie we get Bond having real life wedding. I
Yes,
think that's strange.
I was going
Spoilers.
to uh yeah, I guess. I was gonna refer to that when you said I think you said we see Bond getting married or having a wedding, and I was like, for the first time.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, that came up twice in a row.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Well, I take it that was not a novel. The
Yeah.
wedding, or
Um,
I'm talking about for this film, not on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
you know, I think Bond does go undercover as Kissy Suzuki's husband. Yeah, that does
Okay.
happen, I think. But I don't know if they have a wedding ceremony. Dude, it's been a minute since I've read that book. Let me get back
Yeah.
to you on that, okay?
Okay. So I didn't mean to, but I was curious if because these books take place right next to each other in the novels continuity, just in a different
Yep.
order. So I was wondering if there were two weddings in a row in the novels and also the movies. But that's
Well,
all. That's all it was. Go ahead.
I'm gonna have to be honest with you. Okay, and this might not be right. This is me talking without reading the book. You Only Live Twice for a few years. I don't think there was a wedding ceremony in the book. I think it was just like Bond was supposed to, like, his cover was he was married to Kissy in the book. You know what I mean? I don't think there was
Okay.
actually a ceremony, but I will look it up and make sure.
I will say that Bond pre and post wedding ceremony, pretending to be a Japanese man, slouching, all like hung over, like it is so bad.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
gonna be
It is
honest with
bad.
you guys, we could sit here all night and talk about how bad this is.
Look,
It's not good at all.
no, it's not good. But as far as I can remember, there's no rape scene in this movie. So
No, no, that is a plus.
Give it up to You Only Live Twice. There is no rape scene.
that's what I
Um,
call progressive.
yep. I will be
That's the
straight
full
with
time.
you. Yeah, this is not a PC scene at all. Bond turning Japanese, but I don't even know if this is a I don't know if this is a plus or a minus to the movie, but it doesn't last long. So Bond
Yeah.
and Suzuki, they have their scene where they're swimming and they're climbing, and Bond swims, and then whenever we get to Spectre's base, all of that Japanese is gone, and Bond's back to being a Englishman, pretty much.
Do you think his makeup washed off while they were swimming? Just-
Well, it's kind of like that contrivance I talked about earlier. Whenever I said, about Bond and Blofeld in on the
yeah.
Majesty's Secret Service. That was 2 years. Maybe that's what happened here with his makeup. Maybe it washed off after swimming. That's the way I've always been able to justify it. You know what I mean?
For
So
sure.
anyway, so tell me, guys, what do you think about Spectre's hideout here,
I
the
love it.
volcano lair?
It's so cool.
Yeah, this is probably the best Bond villain layer.
Agree.
Yes, I think they tried to sort of recapture the volcano layer in Spectre,
Yep.
and they didn't. They didn't come anywhere
Nope.
close.
Nowhere.
I do appreciate there being a big layer in a modern Bond movie. I thought that was really cool. This is by far the best villain layer in the franchise, I think.
Caleb, I completely agree with you 100%. Colton, what do you think?
This is my favorite one that I've seen so far. I think
This
I think it's awesome.
and this villain layer goes on to inspire so many different movies and games, so forth. Have y'all ever played Evil Genius, the game?
No, I have not. What is that?
It's a computer game where you be a Bond villain throughout the game. You're a
That sounds
Bond
really
villain.
fun.
Yeah,
It's
that would be pretty cool.
awesome. You guys should play it, but you get to have your own volcano lair and you get to build it and everything. It's awesome. But
Speaking of Bond games, Jonathan, you need to tell the listeners about the Apple Bond game coming out this month.
oh yeah, I've I was going to bring this up at the end, but hey, let's go over it right now. Yeah, apparently there's a new Bond game coming out this month on Apple devices. So if anybody here has Apple devices, hey, we got a Bond game coming out on the Apple Arcade. I think it's called Cypher 007. Looks really cool. I'm very excited to play it.
I'm also gonna play it. I'm definitely gonna try that out. So
Caleb, what about you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was wondering how far into development is it? Like, is it like
It's
around the?
releasing.
It's coming out this month.
Oh, okay. Have you seen gameplay footage? Has anybody seen gameplay?
Yes.
It's like top down, like you control Bond doing things is what it looks like.
Sort of like How the World Is Not Enough was on Game Boy. I think that's how that was. I think it was
Something
top
like
down.
that, maybe. Yeah.
I actually have that game. It's like over here right behind me. Never played it though.
Are you serious?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Let's see
Look
it.
at you.
I've never played it, but I got it at the flea market for like $4. So
On Game Boy?
On Game Boy, yeah.
I want to see it. Not you don't have to get it right now, but at some point dig it out because I would love to see that.
So anyway, going back to the movie, so we get Bond in the Spectre base, and he's using his suction cups to get down. I think that's a pretty wild scene. What do y'all think
I
about
really
that?
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Where did they come from?
And where did they
He
go?
just had them because of his ninja training he had earlier.
Man,
I guess.
The whole ninjas thing still messes me up really bad.
Yeah.
They culturally misappropriate so many things.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Nope, I have no comment.
There's not much you can say.
So he goes down there and he talks to the American prisoners, and he's like, "Hey, let's go," you know. So then they put on disguises, and Bond. One part that I don't understand: what was Bond expecting to do by dressing up as an astronaut and getting inside?
I was really hoping you had a good explanation because I don't know.
I don't think Bond knew what he was going to do. He was just going to do it, but Blofeld calls him out before he gets in it.
Yeah,
and says, he says no regular astronaut would have his air conditioner with him while he gets in.
Guys, I'll tell you what Bond was doing. Bond was living twice.
He was most definitely living twice. And that is where we get the name drop.
So smooth. It's a really good name drop.
That is my favorite name drop in the franchise.
It's
my
not
favorite,
mine, but it's really close.
That's my favorite name. Well, right now it's mine for this
so far
because I can't think of another one. But it's my favorite name drop and my favorite layer with my favorite Bond.
So let me ask you guys, what do you think about Blofeld here?
I really like him. I like his makeup. I think it looks really, really good. He's got a good presence. I'm glad they wait till the end of the movie to do the face reveal. I like the cat petting. I like his Spectre ring. Like it looked really crisp in this movie because of the film quality. And I like his interactions with Bond. I think it's really good.
This is one of the few movies. Yeah, this is one of the few movies where I don't mind that it's taken us so long to get a glimpse of the villain. It really makes his appearance when he finally shows up. It gives it sort of a rewarding feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
As far as the actor and his performance and his appearance, which Colton touched on, I agree. I like the makeup, what they done with his eye. I thought that was really cool. His performance is really good. He's the one that tells Bond or gives Bond the name drop.
And also, go ahead. I'm sorry. What?
I give it a passing grade.
Yeah, I have to say, Donald Pleasance as Blofeld. It gets an A for me. I do like the next Blofeld as well, Telly Savalas, and not trying to do any spoilers on a Master Secret Service, but he is one of my favorites. But I do like this version of Blofeld very much. One thing I do want to say is like just this whole sequence of the volcano lair and Blofeld. I mean, it's awesome. This is where I like to be as a Bond fan.
Yeah. I get what you guys are putting down. I feel it.
I said this last episode about the big or large scale battle sequences
Yeah.
that we get. I hated the one in Thunderball. This is a complete 180 from that. This is what I was talking about. This is great. This is what I want in future Bond movies. I want to touch on what you said about Blofeld. I don't think this Blofeld would have worked in On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah.
I think each actor gave the perfect version of Blofeld for their respective movie.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's it. Kind of. I think you already said it, but it's not really saying one's better than the other. They both did a great job, but
Yes.
you can't really swap one out for the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think this version of Blofeld would have worked in Majesty's at all, because in Majesty's he's more like rough and tumble. You know, he's doing things where Donald Pleasance is not the guy that's going to be
Right.
fist fighting James
Hands
Bond.
on.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, like, I love every bit of the time when Bond is in the volcano lair, from the moment where Blofeld's telling his plans. And one thing I want to talk about is we really get the main villain of this movie is obviously Spectre, but Spectre is doing this not for Russia, but they're doing this. I don't know if you guys picked up on this. It was China. Those two Asian guys that came in, those are
Oh
actually
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Those are actually people's. They're from the People's Republic of China, but basically Red China was
Right.
trying to have the Soviet Union and United States go to war so they could benefit from it.
Mm.
And I think that is such a passed over part of this movie. A lot of people don't even.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just never gave it any thought, I guess. But yeah, you're right.
But I mean, the
So
movie
to-
doesn't spend much time on it at all. It's
Right,
just they
it's-
come in and that's it. Like,
Yeah, they really just gloss over it.
Well, what you were saying, John, like if that's what happened, which is like you said, what it was, so it makes sense why they have him murdered at the beginning of that movie, because he's in China.
yeah,
So they're probably trying to get Bond out of the way to keep him from interfering the whole time.
maybe so.
And I would like to touch on what Caleb said about the fight scene getting more coordinated. I guess I don't know if he said it like that, but like
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, if you look back at it, like we have the big fight scene in From Russia. Like, okay, so in Doctor No, the lair, whenever everybody's escaping everything, it's all crazy. So you don't really look at it like a fight scene, because there's not much fight other than between Doctor No and Bond. Then it's built upon when you go From Russia with Love. You've got the Turkish fighting, right? And it's just like an old Western crazy shootout, and it's not great. Like, it's just kind of nuts.
Fair. That's fair.
I mean, I enjoy it, but like it's like I'm watching Bonanza.
Yeah, it's like you accidentally stepped on the remote.
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty much. Well, then they tried to improve it with Thunderball, and it didn't work. But it was still like they were trying to do more, and then like it feels like they really, really got the
formula right.
They got the formula right.
They nailed it
in this movie. Yeah,
they absolutely nailed it here.
Like,
I love this.
It is crazy, like, but it works.
Yeah,
I
like
agree with Caleb.
Yeah, the whole final fight sequence of the movie where we got the ninjas coming down and we got Bond fighting with the ninjas against Spectre. Yeah, I can't agree more. It's great.
It's a little, I mean, it's cartoony in in some aspects, but it's consistent with this universe that we've been presented. So it never takes you out of it, and it's a great scene. It adds to what was already a great movie.
Yes. I would like to mention now the when all the explosions are going off, Blofeld's holding his cat, and his cat is going absolutely nuts. He's wide-eyed and going crazy.
I have to agree. The scene where he's he's acting like he's going to shoot Bond, but he actually shoots Mr. Osato. that the cat jumps off, and I read something where that cat was like actually traumatized from this sequence from
Yeah.
hearing all those loud noises.
It's very believable. Like the cat actually left the room after he ran up against the guy's feet and went up against the wall. So, and you don't see him whenever the cat's just completely gone whenever Blofeld gets in the monorail.
Yeah. That cat's gonna be typecast from now on. That's the only part it can play from here on out.
And he's only allowed to play cats.
Right.
So bad.
I just imagine this cat going back home and then like sitting in the yard and here's a firework go off and starts getting Vietnam flashbacks.
Bless his heart. I know.
He goes home and beats his wife. He's like, I messed up so bad at work today. I'm going to take it out on you.
You took it so we're completely different.
I'm sorry, man.
He did, didn't he?
I mean, it was funny. It's just it came out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
I'm sorry. I got that big ADHD brain I keep talking about.
It's all good, Colton. You know, I really do. I have to agree with y'all. I do feel like the end of this movie with everyone, you know, joining in and there's a big battle. I do feel like it. I think it. I mean, we had the same thing in Thunderball, but I think this movie improved by far.
Yeah, this might be a bold take, but I think this battle scene is better than Thunderball's.
Oh, by far,
for sure.
I think it is.
For sure.
Yeah.
No problem.
I agree totally.
Yeah, that was just a little dash of sarcasm sprinkled on that.
Oh, okay.
And you know, I hate to be the guy hating on Thunderball, but I mean, I guess I am right now. Yeah, I think this movie is better by far.
Look, I don't know how else to explain it. I like Thunderball. I really do.
I do too.
There are some great things about it. Take all the underwater crap out of it, and it's a better movie.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I think that's just Kevin McClory. He really liked underwater sequences, which I mean, you know, you only live twice. We got so much just crazy stuff happening, which crazy stuff we will see later on in the 70s with Spy and Moonraker. But I mean, hey, I think it holds up.
I do too, and I love the outlandish villain plots that we get in these movies. They're obviously those don't hold up today. If you had something like that in a Craig movie, it'd take you right out of it.
I mean, didn't he say that he only wanted like, was it $100 million?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, didn't Blofeld only request that they paid $100 million? Wasn't it?
No, I can't even remember right now, Colton. I'm sorry.
I think he said $100 million
in this movie or in Thunderball.
No, I'm drawing a blank. Maybe it was
he might. I don't remember him requesting money in this movie, but I do remember that in
Okay, it must have been Thunderball that I was drawing on.
It was 100 million pounds.
100 million pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You can just edit this out. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
That ADHD brain.
Bond ends up fighting through Blofeld's enforcer, Hans, which is pretty much like another version of Red Grant. Honestly, he's a big blonde guy.
Yeah. That's a lot better comparison. I was gonna say he's like a Jaws prototype.
Yeah, and he feeds him to the piranhas, and then Bond goes up and he figures out what to like. You know, he's looking through all this computer stuff up in the main room, and he blows up Spectre spaceship, whatever it's called, Spectre Bird 1 or whatever they called it. So that pretty much solves the problem. But then Blofeld activates the self-destruct. So now everybody's got to get out of the volcano lair because it's literally erupting, which we see in a very dated visual. I have to say, like
I can forgive it. I really can.
I can too.
Yeah,
I mean, it was 1967. Like it is what it is.
Well, with that and the sequence following it was just so good. It's like, okay, well, there's where all your budget went. I get it. You got to make some stuff out of. You got to make a effect out of some poster board and some marker.
So my only crazy tangent with this is, so the guy gets eaten by the piranhas. You know, he's got the stream of piranhas or pool of piranhas or whatever. Like, whenever they're jumping in the water to swim out, where do you think those piranhas go? Do you think those are going to end up in the same water with them?
You got a point, Colton.
That's a good point.
Like, because they are all like swimming in a cluster underwater. Like,
Yeah.
the piranhas got to go somewhere. I mean, they might have just got blown up and boiled to death or whatever. But like, it would be crazy if some of them piranhas ended up swimming out with the people.
So Blofeld gets away in this movie, don't he? He doesn't get his comeuppance.
I'm just wondering what happens to his cat. Honestly, he blew it up.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
That was the problem I had.
That cat will he will live to die another day, as you would say.
Ah, nice. No, that cat went to therapy.
Yeah, that cat most definitely went to therapy. Bless his heart. I mean, it's
sad.
I have to be honest with you. I'm a cat guy. I am. I love cats. I love dogs too, but I have a few cats of my own, and bless his little heart. You know, I hate that
Man,
little cat.
I know
Got
y'all see my dog, and most
Yep.
people when they say a dog, they automatically assume that's his team. He doesn't do cats. I do, but I love cats. I love dogs.
I love both.
Man, there's a scene in Thunderball where a shark gets killed, and it looked pretty real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how they acquired that footage. I really hope it was in self-defense. I hope they didn't just go out and
It didn't look like it, did it?
No.
It didn't. No, it didn't. But that's the whole point of me saying that is like, I don't know, man. Saying that stuff makes me sad.
Yeah, me too.
I agree.
Well, let's just move on from that then.
I would like to bring up Hans again, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Whenever Bond first goes to fight Hans is walking toward him all menacingly and everything. Sean Connery as Bond, like, he literally just like throws his face into Hans's punch.
Yes.
Like,
I noticed that.
Like, weirdest part of the fight. Like,
yes.
You know how we touched on the fact that Connery was kind of looking for the door at this point?
Yes.
That's what that was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You think so? You think that was like, man, if I ham this up, they'll fire me. Other than that, he does really good in the action scenes. Even though he did wield a couch, and the producers are like, "No, Sean, put that down."
They had to bolt all the other couches in the movie down.
Yeah, from then on, they had to go through all the sets and bolt down all the furniture.
Hey.
But no, he's really good in the action scenes. That's why it surprised me. I noticed that too. That's why it surprised me. I was like, why did they leave that in?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, a lot of people have talked about Sean Connery in this movie. It doesn't bother me as it does a lot of people.
No, it doesn't. And like I said before, just knowing what I know now about all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
it's
a wonder it turned out this good.
Really, it is. It actually is.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Oh, I was just gonna say it stuck out. That's all.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned that, like, that it's a miracle the film turned out as good as it did. When they were scouting locations, the producers were supposed to get on a flight, and there was a ninja exhibition or whatever show, I guess, ninja show. Because those were really popular back then. But they missed their flight, which wound up crashing because they wanted to go see the ninja thing, and like that could have been it.
Yeah.
For the franchise as we know it. I mean, they probably wouldn't have the studio probably wouldn't have just got rid of the rights.
Yeah.
But yeah, that could have been bad.
That's crazy.
That might have been that. I don't know much about it, and I didn't know about it till right then. But if you think about it, if Sean just like narrowly avoided death like that, he might be like, you know what? He's like, I'm not about to keep going to these crazy locations doing these crazy movies.
I don't think he was actually on the flight. I think this was pre-production. They were just trying to find interesting locations to film. And during the Little Nelly combat scene, the helicopters, a camera operator got his foot injured. the producers got all the best, what do they call them, microsurgeons or something? They get, like, rounded all the best microsurgeons and that he could, rounded them up, got him to operate on this camera man, which I don't know all the details. I guess it didn't feel right to him, so they wound up amputating the foot anyway. So the production had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to add to your point that it's a miracle that it turned out as good.
I hear you. So we get Blofeld destroying his lair and Bond and the ninjas and Kissy Suzuki fleeing, and airplane goes across and lets them have a inflatable little raft thing that they get in, and the day is saved, and Bond lives to die another day.
I like that how the end of the film has kept with the theme that the other ones saying that James Bond will return and on Her Majesty's Secret Service. But it also, when I read that, I was like super sad knowing that Sean's not in that movie. So,
Yep.
But he'll be back.
Oh yeah, I know he comes back.
Yeah.
It got me a little bit.
I often hear the word formulaic used when describing Bond movies, and in some cases, that's a detriment in some movies, I guess. But I like it here. I like the formulaic nature of it.
I have to agree with you. I do too.
Not to bring up spoilers for anything else, but there's a movie in the future that really breaks from the formula, and I'll bring it up when we're not recording because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody else. But that movie could have definitely used some formulaic parts to end it in a happier tone.
So, overall, thoughts about You Only Live Twice, and I guess this is where we'll end it up, gentlemen. I'll go ahead and tell mine. Love it, love it, love it. This and Goldfinger are my favorite Connery movies. I'll go ahead and tell you. That's a spoiler alert for Diamonds Are Forever and Never Say Never Again. This and Goldfinger are my favorite Connery Bond movies. I love it. I love it from the start to the finish. I love the little Nelly sequence. I mean, hey, you know what? Bond goes Japanese in this movie, but I'll let him slide.
I really like this movie, man. It gets a passing grade for me. Like, it was such like, I clearly did not enjoy Thunderball in the same way you guys did, and I'm not saying
I noticed.
I'm not saying it's bad or that I hate it, but it was definitely one of my least favorite movies I've seen so far, and this one was just like a breath of fresh air in comparison. Yeah. Like, all the way around, from like the quality of the filming to just some of the action stuff. For me, it was a great adventure, and I'd probably watch it again soon.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The improvements they made from Thunderball is like, there's a huge contrast.
Yeah.
The pacing of the action scenes is better. What helps is the fact that they're not underwater. That helps a lot.
Yes, yes, it does.
It's just an all around good movie. I wanted to ask y'all something though. Well, real quick, I think I've already said this. 8 out of 10 is my score. This movie was so good that it made me change my score for Thunderball. Do you guys think if this movie had released in place of Goldfinger, do you think we'd view it as, the iconic? I do too. I really do. And the reason, what made me think of that is, like, I was sitting here listening to you guys thinking about, like, my final thoughts, and I was thinking, like, I think this is as good as Goldfinger. Like,
I do too.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
I would, for me, it would be as good as Goldfinger if Bond was driving a car of his own.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's something that I noticed this this last time. Bond doesn't drive a car at all.
No.
Colton, I have to agree. If we could get Bond, hell, it don't even have to be an Aston Martin. If we get Bond driving a Toyota using gadgets, hell, it'd be right up on par with Goldfinger, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like it just has like all the boxes checked except for the car
Car
box and the
chase.
rape box.
Oh God,
Dude, I would take Bond on a BMW motorcycle. It's just to have him drive something in this movie.
Just something that he's in control of.
Oh,
I
I guess
didn't
Colton
like that he
doesn't
was
get that
at her mercy.
reference.
Do what?
You didn't get that reference.
No, dude, I'm so sorry.
Okay, yeah, no, that's my bad. I forget.
What's the reference?
Jonathan got it. I hope.
I got it.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I don't get it.
Tomorrow
Now
never dies.
It's yes, tomorrow never dies. Colton.
Oh, okay, yeah. That I actually liked. I think I like that.
Oh, you've seen it?
You've seen it?
I'm fairly certain.
Tomorrow
Okay.
Never Dies is a solid movie.
I love it.
Yeah, I've got issues with it, but it's solid.
Like I like all Brosnan's films, even though I know you guys hate. Was it
Die Another Day.
Die Another
No,
Day? Yeah,
he likes that movie.
I actually,
okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
I like that. I
don't
like
hate
that
it.
movie too. Like
I don't
there's
hate
parts of that movie I really enjoy. So
I know Caleb hates it, but I don't.
Dude, I love the way that movie is structured. It is structured like a classic Bond movie. Some of the sequences in it are questionable.
Yeah,
That's all I'll say.
I agree. And I look forward to talking about that with you boys.
I do too. I think that's gonna be fun.
Well, guys, my last words on You Only Live Twice. I enjoyed it. I loved it. And Caleb, I'm gonna be honest with you. I enjoyed it just as much as I did Goldfinger, which is
Yeah.
not something you guys are going to hear me say about a lot of Bond movies. I'll just be straight with you.
I'm really glad that I'm going back and rewatching these. Obviously, just so it'll be fresh in my mind and I'll actually have stuff to add. But also, it's giving me a new perspective on a lot of these movies. I don't remember enjoying this movie this much. I don't know.
See, it's all you needed was to go back and watch it over, and a whole
I
brand
think
new world.
I don't know that I'll be able to watch them annually like you do, but I'm definitely going to start watching them more frequently.
Well, that being said, I do have a wonderful wife and a wonderful little stepdaughter who love watching these movies with me. So
that is awesome.
Yeah,
you were definitely blessed there.
Yeah, dude, my dog, he'll watch anything. So I got that.
I got you.
No, I'm kidding. No, my wife, she will power through them. I'll say that.
My wife will not. Like if I'm watching a James Bond movie, she's said
out of the room.
She might watch the Craig ones with me.
Dude, my wife loves the Brosnan ones, but it's because it's Pierce Brosnan. Like that's what she likes about.
My wife loves the Craig and the Roger Moore movies. Roger Moore, she says, is very handsome. So
that's an odd pairing.
That's what I thought too. Craig and Roger Moore. That's like opposite ends of the spectrum. But hey, she likes
really.
But her favorite is George Lazenby. That's her favorite.
No kidding.
I'll probably say
serious,
that she likes Roger Moore because I personally, Jonathan, think you look like Roger Moore. So,
dude, he does. He really does.
So thank you.
That's probably why she likes Roger Moore so much.
That's what I thought too.
She's got a type. That's what that is.
Yep, she's definitely got a type.
Well, thank you, boys. Well, fellas, do y'all have anything else to say on the You Only Live Twice?
I enjoyed it. 8 out of 10. Solid Bond adventure. It hits all the notes, and I think I'm going to put it up there with Goldfinger.
I do too. Colton, what about you?
This is probably my third favorite Connery movie. Like it goes, gonna be Goldfinger and Dr. No, and then You Only Live Twice. Like I love all three of those movies so much. It's just like it. The only thing Dr. No has over this is that Jonathan drives not Jonathan that Bond drives the the Alpine Sunliner or Alpine
Sunbeam Alpine.
The Sunbeam Alpine. He drives
wa-
that in that movie.
That wasn't Jonathan?
No.
I
That
could
was
have
Jonathan,
sworn.
pretty much.
Okay. I could
No.
have sworn.
Hey, I could have swore that was Jonathan.
Dude, I need to watch From Russia with Love and Doctor No. Those are the two. I missed out on those shows, so I
Yeah.
didn't watch those because I remember ranking From Russia with Love like real high.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you borrow them if you like.
Sure.
I'll get them from my dad's this week, and I'll bring them by or something.
Well, we're starting to stray from the topic.
My bad.
No. You're fine. We need to wrap up anyway. But before we get too far away from the Roger Moore Jonathan comparison, can you do the eyebrow? Oh, he did it. He did it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Do
dude.
that eyebrow raise, you know what I mean?
I can't do it. I can't do it. That dude is perfect. Have you practiced that? You've practiced that, haven't you?
A little bit.
Okay. No, that's fine. It's you're really good at it.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. I think we all had a similar experience on this movie.
Definitely.
And so let me ask you this. I know Caleb has seen the next one. Colton, have you seen Majesties yet?
So I attempted to watch Majesties a couple years ago whenever you're trying to get me to go through these movies, and I got to the kilt scene and checked out. I was like, no,
Okay.
I'm done. But I'm rewatching it now, and I'm also reading the book at the same time. I should have it finished in the next couple days for both. And I'm enjoying it. Like there's parts to that film I like, and I'll discuss that next week. So
Well, guys, I do appreciate you being on here with me. Colton, I look forward to hearing what you have to say about Majesties, both novel and movie form. Caleb Mabry, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having. Yep. Thank you for having me.
And so I've been Jonathan Lynham, which also known as For Your Eyes Only. I'm on YouTube at For Your Eyes Only. Or actually, no, my channel's For Your Eyes Only, and I'm on Twitter at For Your Eyes Only. And Colton, The Living Daylights Flat, where do we find you at?
So you can find me on Facebook under Colton Flat, or you can find me on Twitter at Amaranger4x4. And you can also find me on Letterboxd. And my Letterboxd name is Nightwing Beyond. And if you go on there, I have the films ranked for Connery and then 007 overall, and you can see my list on there.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Colton, The Living Daylights Flat. I'm actually going to make my own. And what do you call it? Is it Letterbox?
It is Letterboxed. And
okay,
it's
Letterboxed.
With a D, yeah.
With a D.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'm going to make my own
BOXD.
Letterboxd. And I will be able to plug it next time we do this podcast. I'll plug it.
Awesome. I look forward to that.
And Kayla Mabry, I need you to do the same thing because I want to see your list grow. Okay.
Yeah. I think I'll probably wait until we're done. Just so I'll have a fresh perspective on all of them.
All right.
But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I had forgotten and I really want to check that out.
Well, I'm just doing them as we do each movie. I just go in and add it in, so I'm not jumping ahead.
I got you.
So when you say you're adding them in, or when you put it in, does it fall under a ranking?
So you can do ranked. So like, you just go in there and you can add them in whatever order you want, and you can change your ranking with each time you view a movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's all editable.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah. It's super great. Like they've got everything on there. It's really nice. It's a good app. So
to movie focused social media app is what it sounds like.
yeah, that is literally all it is. Like you have watch lists and suggested and everything.
What?
That sounds really cool.
Sounds like all we're about right now.
You're right.
Well, fellas, do y'all have anything else to say about You Only Live Twice?
I think I've said my piece.
Yeah, me too. A couch can be a good weapon.
I second that.
If wielded properly.
Yes.
You also don't need to get soap in your eye.
Oh,
That's
no.
right.
Dude, yeah, don't Don't get soap in your eye.
Well, fellas, thank you so much for this. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. And thank you to the audience as well. Audience, make sure you subscribe, like, share our stuff, get us out there. Caleb and Colton, the Living Daylights Flat, I want you to know some of my favorite times are talking about Bond with you boys. I appreciate it. And I'm good. And I'm going to leave you guys to close up.
Well, thank you for joining us today, folks. We really appreciate you, and we'll see you next week with Ian Fleming on Your Majesty's Secret Service.
And guys, that was Colton, the Living Daylights Flat, signing off.
That's how we're gonna refer to you for the rest of this, however long this goes.
Well, guys,
I'm gone, guys.
We will see y'all next time on the Majesty's Secret Service. Jonathan Lynham, Caleb Mabry, and Colton, the Living Daylights Flat. We will see you then, okay?
Signing
Adios.
off.
Yeah.